In this section on medieval philosophy, we'll be exploring the relationship between Christianity and Greek philosophy. This relationship was sometimes strained, especially when it came to the arguments of the Church Fathers. This video will summarize the ideas within the defenses of the Greek Church Fathers and the debates that these ideas sparked. Christianity was introduced to philosophy when thinkers raised in Greek culture converted to this religion. While the Bible, the holy book of Christians, contains some philosophical concepts, Christianity is essentially a religion, not a philosophy. For example, the doctrine of logos, mentioned at the beginning of the Gospel of John, is a religious interpretation of a concept with philosophical origins. The message of the Bible conveys the teachings of Jesus, who is considered the Son of God. It is believed that Jesus, through his miraculous birth and death on the cross, atoned for the sins of humanity. His resurrection is a sign of his divinity, and according to Christian belief, he will return on Judgment Day to rule alongside the chosen ones. While Greek philosophy is based on the principle of necessity, philosophies associated with Christianity are themed around freedom. Christianity is seen as the complement to the Old Testament and is a continuation of God's message. Christianity acknowledges God's power to rule and create the world, following the messages Moses received from God. Unlike Greek philosophy, Christianity believes that history is a process with a beginning, middle, and end, and this historicity is related to divine providence. Although Christianity contains many philosophical connotations, its main purpose is to offer a doctrine of salvation. The concept of logos, as used by St. John, has a different meaning in Christianity than it does in Greek philosophy. John defines Jesus as the embodiment of the logos. This is a religious claim and different from a philosophical teaching. However, these ideas would be associated with Greek philosophy throughout the Middle Ages and would transform into an understanding of theological philosophy. Similarly, St. Paul combined many philosophical concepts with Christian beliefs. For Paul, true wisdom is to believe in Jesus. In his letter to the Corinthians in the Bible, he expressed this belief by saying that while Jews demand miracles and Greeks seek wisdom, we preach a crucified Jesus. When Paul addressed the Stoics, he stated that what they called wisdom is faith in Jesus for Christians. At this point, it is emphasized that Christian belief is independent of Greek philosophy. The teachings of the Bible were used by the Church Fathers in defenses written against pagan beliefs. The entry of philosophy into Christianity began with the attitudes of Christians towards philosophy. From the beginning of Christianity, some Church Fathers defended Christianity against philosophy, while others used philosophy to defend Christianity. From the 2nd century AD onwards, defense texts written by Church Fathers, known as apologies, began to spread. These texts are legal defenses written to gain legal acceptance of Christianity in the Roman Empire. The most prominent names among the Greek Church Fathers are Justinus, Tatianus, Melitone, and Athenagoras. In this section, we will summarize the thoughts of Justinus and Tatianus. The Patristic Period, in Christianity, refers to the period from the 1st to the 8th century AD, during which theologians and thinkers known as the Church Fathers developed and defended Christian doctrine. This period is a significant era when the fundamental dogmas, moral teachings, and institutional structure of the Christian faith were shaped. Throughout the Patristic Period, Christian beliefs were distinguished from other religious and philosophical currents, aiming to solidify doctrines and establish the authority of the Church. The importance of the Church. Fathers for philosophy and Christianity. Development of Christian teachings. The Church Fathers systematized the fundamental teachings of Christianity and contributed to the development of this faith independently from other philosophical and religious traditions. The articulation of central Christian theological doctrines, such as the Trinity, the nature of Christ, and salvation are significant products of this period. These concepts were placed within a dogmatic framework through the intense efforts of the Church Fathers. Relationship between philosophical thought and Christianity. The Church Fathers, particularly by engaging in dialogue with Platonic and Aristotelian philosophy, established Christian doctrines on a philosophical foundation. Some Church Fathers, like Justin Martyr, interpreted the concept of logos in Christianity as the mind of God, while figures like Augustine enriched theology with philosophical depth by reflecting on the nature of God and humanity. The ideas developed during this period formed the basis of Western philosophy and theology. Moral guidance and spiritual life. The Church Fathers provided spiritual guidance to Christian communities by offering not only theological but also moral teachings. Figures like Clement of Rome and Ignatius of Antioch emphasized church authority to preserve the unity and social order of Christians. These moral teachings influenced not only Christians, but also the development of the general moral structure of society. Struggle against heretical movements. The Church Fathers fought against heterodox movements such as Gnosticism and Arianism, striving to protect Christian teachings from these deviant movements. These efforts contributed to the preservation of the fundamental principles of Christian faith and the establishment of a common doctrine within Christianity. Theological and philosophical legacy. The ideas developed and works written by the Church Fathers left a lasting legacy not only for Christian history, but also for Western thought. Augustine's doctrines of original sin and salvation through God's grace in particular were frequently studied by medieval thinkers and made a significant contribution to discussions on ethics, metaphysics, and human nature in Western philosophy. In summary, the Church Fathers of the Patristic Period endeavored to understand and teach the Christian faith in depth and made substantial contributions to the relationship between philosophical thought and religion. The ideas of this period formed the cornerstones of Christian theology and Western philosophy, leaving behind a legacy that guided subsequent generations both spiritually and morally. Clement of Rome, one of the first Church Fathers, advocated for the preservation of church authority and the maintenance of Christian unity in the late 1st century AD. Ignatius of Antioch, who followed, distinguished Christian identity from Jewish traditions, emphasized the necessity of episcopal authority, and glorified martyrdom. In the 2nd century AD, the philosopher Justin bridged Christianity and Platonic philosophy by introducing the concept of logos and explaining the divine nature of Jesus Christ as the mind of God. Irenaeus of Lyon, at the end of the 2nd century AD, defended Christian doctrines against Gnostic teachings and highlighted the goodness of God's creation, emphasizing the saving role of Jesus. Tertullian, the first theologian to write in Latin in the 3rd century AD, developed the doctrine of the Trinity and emphasized the importance of the relationship between faith and reason in Christianity. During the same period, Origen interpreted the Holy Scriptures allegorically and focused on the desire of every soul to return to God. Athanasius of Alexandria, in the 4th century AD, defended the divinity of Christ against Arianism, preserving the Christian faith, while Basil the Great strengthened the doctrine of the Trinity and laid the foundations for monastic life during the same period. Gregory of Nazianzus, who contributed to a better understanding of the Trinity, defended the divinity of the Holy Spirit while explaining the two natures of Christ. Augustine of Hippo, one of the most influential figures in Western Christian thought, developed the doctrine of original sin at the end of the 4th century AD, stating that humanity can only attain salvation through God's grace. He provided in-depth analyses of Christian ethics and church-state relations with his works, Confessions and City of God. These Church Fathers played a major role in shaping Christian beliefs and laid the foundations for Christian theology and moral understanding.